Hi everyone, October 4, 2019. You can consider this part 2 to the video that I posted earlier. And I do hope that you take some time this weekend to seriously consider all of what is taking place with our economy, and that for those who are Trump supporters believing everything that he is saying about the economy, if you can take a step back, maybe just imagine that you're playing a game, that maybe he is lying. And what are you going to do when suddenly that shit hits the fan for you? When you lose your job, when suddenly, banks start stealing your money that you have in savings and checking, when it goes negative interest rates, what are you going to do when a robot takes over your job? And to the parents with these kids in college, don't expect them to be able to find work, because robots are already taking over an awful lot of jobs. I'm going to start with this video. It's kind of scary because this is the world that we are entering.
Hello, my name is Vera, and I'm a robot. And what's your name?
Hi, my name is Jason Bellini. This is Vera, a robot that does job interviews.
What are the 3 top important tips for a salesperson?
She's done 10,000 of them and counting.
Congratulations. We chose you as one of the best candidates for a sales representative.
What looks like the future is already a reality. Hiring is undergoing a revolution. Almost all Fortune 500 companies now use some form of automation. She keeps winking at me and then rolling her eyes at me. But many companies are also trying to look under the hood of job applicants and assess them in completely new ways. You're quantifying human behavior, human expressions, human voices, turning that into data.
We're now using artificial intelligence to help companies find the very best talent.
And most likely you were being analyzed by an algorithm. How does that make you feel?
I feel like that would blindside me entirely.
Experts call the proliferation of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science tools the Wild West of hiring. Critics, and even some hiring managers themselves, say they're concerned about these tools' potential for bias. They raise issues like fairness, transparency, and accuracy.
So has the government taken a look at these algorithms to figure out whether they are within the law?
Not yet.
Thank you for an interesting dialogue. Have a nice day.
Thanks. You have a nice day too, wherever you are. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, okay. That was only 1 minute and 43 seconds. It's a 10-minute long video. I will link below to everything if you want to watch the end of this. Look, the data, when people actually do go for a job that is available for a human being, that data that they will be analyzing, all the data that they're collecting right now, what they've been collecting for years, collecting from the time you go to nursery school, kindergarten, all the way on up throughout college, all that data that they're collecting from license plates, all the data, social media, yeah, all those comments. This is not a good world that we are already in, and it's, well, if you haven't experienced it yet, you will. Yeah, that social credit thing in China, it is operating already in the United States. It's just a matter of time before you can't travel because your social credit score is too low. All right, robots replacing human jobs. Potentially 200,000 cuts on the horizon.
Well, banks are making some big investments in technology, and that could lead to 200,000 job cuts in the next decade. Finance firms reportedly spending about $150 billion on technology every year. Robots have already taken over in many call centers and in online chat rooms. You may be talking to a robot, you just don't know it. And speaking of those robots, a Seattle company has one that can make pizza really quickly. The robotics company Picnic created a machine that can crank out up to 300 12-inch pies an hour, Maria. This was in the Seattle Times. I thought of you. Because can you do that? I don't know. There's your dad trying to, can we do 300? Anyway, the employee put the dough on the conveyor belt before the AI group picks it up. So we've got Maria, pizza, and artificial intelligence, which you did a whole special on. All in one story, Maria. I got you covered this morning.
I can't believe you found those pictures.
I love these.
Ha 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 ha. I don't think it's funny. It's like a Segway with an iPad. Robo realtors invade Tennessee housing market. It's not just going to be in Tennessee. Lower the cost of home selling by using robots and big data instead of commission-based real estate agents. Now it seems the trend of replacing real estate agents with robots is heating up. This time, robots have already sold nearly 24 homes in Tennessee. It's a technological revolution. Yes. You go to Ring. Yes, Ring. That's the Amazon. Is it Amazon? Yeah, I believe it's Amazon. You ring that doorbell. Oh, and facial recognition, cameras in the Ring. It's the robots are called innovative sales consultants. They've replaced the need for agents or sales associates to be present at a listing when home buyers want to look inside. They've sold 25 houses as of mid-September. That's just a couple of weeks. It's not far-fetched to think that one day, maybe just months away, our competition may be Amazon. I posted a video on my Never Lose Truth channel, I believe. Amazon partnering with one of the biggest realtors in the country, and, well, it's going to displace or make realtors unemployed. Monopolies are the thing. That Congress does not break up monopolies anymore. They allow monopolies to flourish. And why will that monopoly work? Because, well, if you hook up with that realtor, and that realtor tells everybody that Amazon is going to give you wild discounts on everything that you need for your new home. Oh, and all of those smart gadgets. Well, people will go for the discounts. God, we're looking at so many people being unemployed. Robots to replace up to 20 million factory jobs by 2030. Is that worldwide? It's got to be worldwide. United States, 14%. Then, okay, so the percentage change in the use of robots between 2011 and 2016. Automotive sector, 14%. Other sectors, 40%. China, whoa, okay. Well, considering that manufacturing is dying, it's got to be a worldwide worldwide figure. 20 million factory jobs gone. Robots to replace 200,000 jobs in banking over 10 years. That's here. in the US of A. But I do want to check. Why don't we listen to this video?
We want to talk about automation because robot technology is resulting in the biggest reduction of headcount across the banking industry, with an estimated 200,000 jobs set to be replaced by new tech. Now, we have seen a number of studies recently suggesting that there's no cause to panic because automation will also increase jobs, add some new jobs to the workforce. But this data, specifically for the banking industry, is not so encouraging. And back on the couches to discuss is our own Brian Chung.
It is here in the United States. You can listen to this video, but automation actually is not going to be increasing jobs in other sectors outside of banking. That is the propaganda so that Americans don't freak out. But universal basic income is absolutely coming, because it will have to. For the humans that are alive, that, well, they don't have the skills for the new world order, well, they're going to have to institute some kind of universal basic income. Otherwise, they're going to be looking at utter chaos, violent chaos. Salesforce CEO, I strongly believe that capitalism as we know it is dead. Capitalism as we know it. Have we ever had real capitalism? No. And how do you have capitalism when you have a government that is thoroughly corrupt and criminal? That's what you have. You have a criminal system. You don't have capitalism. We sure as hell did not have a free market system. We've had a controlled economy. Only the tightening of those controls ever increasing to the point now that it's really an economy for the 6th largest banks and the Federal Reserve, not for us. So, but this is a very good article. Will you lose your job to a robot? Yeah. Law firms now use artificial intelligence, sophisticated computer programs that can learn from experience to conduct contract analysis, hunt for client conflicts, and even craft litigation strategy. McDonald's replacing drive-through workers with order-taking AI, and other fast food restaurants. Order-taking cashiers with self-checkout kiosks. Walmart is automating truck unloading, and they're introducing robots to roll around the Walmart stores, and they're going to be checking on what needs to be pulled from the back to the front. Everything will have sensors. So a robot will pass, let's say, Wonder Bread. Ah, fabulous bread. And the sensors will all go off if the shelf is full, and, well, some sensors if there's only a few Wonder Bread on the shelf. Humans no longer needed. And of course we have the self-checkouts, which will eventually get rid of all cashiers, not just in Walmart, but all over. California farms are employing robots to harvest lettuce. See, this is not a full picture. There's a whole lot of robots doing the harvesting. Certainly California farms. Don't know about any other farms, but I did read an article how the migrants were very upset because the robots were taking their jobs. From 1990 to 2007, robots replaced about 670,000 U.S. jobs, mostly in manufacturing. Every robot introduced into local economy claimed 6.2 jobs. 1990 to 2000, over 500,000 jobs gone. And that's when robots, well, we weren't even talking about that. So that trend will accelerate over the next decade as advances in mobile technology, AI, data transfer, computing speeds allow robots to act with greater independence. A 2013 study found that 47% of American jobs were at high risk of automation within 2 decades. Similar conclusions from another study, 2017, warning that by 2030, robots will have forced 16 to 54 million Americans out of work. To retrain for a new job, a whole lot of people will not be able to retrain because the jobs, people jobs, will be tech jobs and professional jobs. These are not jobs that you can retrain for. The retraining means, well, you're going to go back to med school. Oh, wait, robots are actually now, yeah, performing surgery. Well, this certainly is a revolution like no other. What jobs are most at risk? Repetitive physical tasks in predictable environments. Restaurants in China have already begun replacing servers with robots. The Palm Beach County Court, isn't that where Trump has his Mar-a-Lago? Palm Beach County? Yeah, they, listen to this, they began using 4 robots, Wally Bishop, Rosie Tobor, Kit Robbie, and Speedy, to read court filings, fill out docket sheets, and input data into the case management system. Wow, okay. At least 91% of a short order cook's tasks can be automated using existing technology. It's 100% for a dredge operator, plasterer, stucco mason, motion picture projectionist, logging equipment operator. Conversely, jobs that involve managing people, creative thinking, social interaction will see less automation. What are the jobs that I just spoke of? Realtors, social interaction? No, I don't believe that. The creative thinking, artificial intelligence is going to do it. Managing people, the robots are going to do it. So, even the jobs that you think are safe aren't. Publishing newspaper articles, and this article is saying the Guardian Australia newspaper published its first article this year written entirely by a computer. That was happening years ago. So maybe for that, the Guardian Australia. See, wow. Computer-generated articles, that started many years ago. All right. The Indian e-commerce site Mirtra recently created one of its best-selling t-shirts by delegating the design to 2 algorithms that analyzed previous designs and invented new ones. Creative thinking jobs, artificial intelligence. Sales of artificial intelligent designed shirts are growing at 100%. New skills, the effect on the workforce. Well, if you can't become a professional, you might be a little bit too old to go back to school. Oh, wait a second, man. Do you have the money, let's say, to go to med school? Do you have the grades to go to med? All right. Can you be a techie? Can you write artificial intelligent programs? If you can't, you'll get the universal basic income. Will there be a middle class? No. They are phasing out that class. And it's going to come really fast. Let's see. The pace of automation is no longer linear, but exponential, like the growth in computing capacity predicted by Moore's law. This is Martin Ford, these are his quotes. The economy, Ford says, will not have time to create new professions, to absorb the tens of millions of workers displaced by automation. 3.5 million Americans still work as truck drivers. But those robot trucks, automated, trucks, have already hit the road. So when you're driving down the interstate, try to look into that truck to see if there's a human being in it. White-collar jobs are also at risk for the first time. A number of financial workers has already plunged by 50,000 since 2000 as computers can process. That's on Wall Street. I'm sorry. On Wall Street, the number of financial workers has already plunged 50,000 since 2000 as computers can process 100,000 transactions in a tenth of a second. Radiologists, they could lose their jobs analyzing medical images. Displaced workers might find new jobs, but at lower salaries. How will this affect society? Suicides, drug overdoses, anxiety, depression, derelict buildings, jobless zones, a stratified society. Like something out of Hunger Games. Who said that? Andrew Yang. He's one of the Democrat candidates who's, that universal basic income he speaks of. But he's right in what he's saying about suicides, drug overdoses, anxiety, depression. We already see that happening. Suicides have skyrocketed. And the derelict buildings, jobless zones, like something out of the Hunger Games. That is something to really think about seriously. It will be necessary for government to provide a universal basic income to each citizen. So, it's coming, guys. Let's see. Didn't Trump campaign like, Obama campaigned? Oh, and then Bush campaigned, and Clinton campaigned, and keep going back. They all say they're going to reduce that national debt, and they don't. They come in. Well, Trump has outdone Obama. National debt jumps by 1.2 trillion in fiscal 2019 to 22.7 trillion. Oh, and it's increasing all the time. You don't have capitalism when you have a debt-based economy. And that's all it is. So, I want you to listen to just a few minutes of Gregory Mannarino's video that he just posted. It was the last post of the day.
The middle class is about to face a moment of horror moving closer. Now, our president explained today that our economy is strong, and he's touting the U3 dog shit number like he doesn't know what the U6 is, quite obviously. Let me ask you, when we found out that manufacturing hit a one-decade low and we are now in contraction in manufacturing and in retail, where was the president then talking about our economy being strong. That was parroted today, not just by Fed Chair Powell. It was also parroted by Larry Kudlow, who seems to be back now after he got put in the doghouse for saying that negative rates were not good for the United States. So, and I cannot stress this enough, this is a game changer. And I said that when President Trump was elected with regard to the stock market. So it was a game changer on Greg Hunter's show, that this market was going to vault higher. Now, this is a game changer. The fact that the Federal Reserve is now embarked on QE6 perpetual, that now the President of the United States and the Federal Reserve have become one. They are synchronized. I cannot stress to you how bullish this is for the stock market. It is extremely bullish. There's no other way to put it. And the distortions between the economy and the stock market are going to get greater and greater. The lies, like I've been explaining to you, are going to get greater and greater. Let's talk more about lies. Very sadly, American citizens today are borrowing from their credit cards in greater amounts than we have ever seen in history, just to make ends meet. Now, we understand that the President's pushing the fake narrative, the U3 number, all day long. He's also pushing the fake narrative that there's a deal with China pretty soon. Google it, you'll laugh your ass off. A deal coming with China, it's only been 2 years, but it's coming soon. Coming soon, maybe 2 years later, I have no idea. But it's the propaganda ministry. He's the propaganda minister and the head of the military-industrial complex, the communist regime, fascist regime now running our country. We are way beyond socialism. This has gone off the rails. So we understand that Americans, citizens, are borrowing from their credit cards in greater and greater amounts just to make ends meet. Now, what the president will not say, and he understands this to be true, and I'm going to ask you to look this up for yourself if you don't believe Greg. How about this? Wage growth has cratered. It has plunged since February. February of this year is where it peaked. Wage growth is plunging. But you can't know that. You're not allowed to know it. Look here. Don't look here. That's where we are at, people. It's laughable.
Unfortunately, it's really, there's a whole lot of people suffering because of these lies that are being told. And I think about parents with kids who have, already graduated from college. They're looking for work. They can't find the work. Oh, but their parents still stuck in the matrix, believing the horse shit that they hear on mainstream media and coming out of our government officials and Trump. The economy is great. It's never been 50 years, never seen such greatness. Wage, he said 3% wage growth. It's all lies. But you have people believing these lies. So when people can't find jobs, they're judged as, there's something wrong with you. Because there's plenty of jobs. The economy is doing great. So why can't you find a job? It really does create this Kafkaesque life for people. The lies, the psychological damage that it does on a whole people, well, we're seeing it now. Not good. September, Class 8 heavy-duty truck orders collapse 71%. How can the economy be doing so fabulously when you have these kinds of numbers? It's ugly. It's ugly. 9th consecutive month of orders below 20,000. So, heavy-duty truck orders. Well, I guess not much is moving. This is what a recession looks like. Here are 12 big companies that are conducting major layoffs. This was posted today. But do remember what it was like in 2008 when it literally felt like no job was truly safe. No job is truly safe. It was a terrible time. And many fear that we could soon be facing a similar scenario. In recent days, big companies all across America have been laying off workers at a frightening pace. Oh, but the economy is doing unbelievably well. Hasn't been doing so well, not in 50 years. As economic activity has slowed down, a lot of firms are feeling compelled to slash their payrolls, and if a deep recession is ahead of us, then what we have seen so far could just be the tip of the iceberg. In 2008 and 2009, millions of Americans lost their jobs very rapidly. It could very easily happen again. I see it happening again. And robots are taking over. So, HP, Hewlett-Packard, 7,000 to 9,000 jobs will be cut. WeWork, 5,000, or 1/3 of its workforce. Kroger's, hundreds of employees. Sports Illustrated, half the newsroom laid off. Uber, 435 employees cut. John Deere, 150 workers at 2 of its plants in the Quad Cities. Bayou Steel Group filed for bankruptcy on Tuesday, and the company laid off 376 workers. U.S. Steel and ArcelorMittal, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, curtailed some of their facilities. Why? Because manufacturing is on its way out. U.S. Steel idled 2 of its U.S. blast furnaces earlier this year. The company expects those furnaces to be idle until the end of the year. Elanco Animal Health, 250 workers. Lazard Asset Management, 7% of their employees. Finance managers. Advanced Engineering Corporation, permanent closing due to relocation affecting 114 employees. The first layoff date, November 4, and then more layoffs, and it will be completed. Why do they always lay people off right before the holidays? Daimler, I don't know how to pronounce it. Daimler Trucks North America, laying off 450 workers at one plant, Mount Holly, and then 450 workers at a plant in Cleveland. Genesis Healthcare, 585 gone. You see this? This isn't what a booming economy looks like. Why do people love lies? Okay, winter is coming and it will not be pleasant. Why? Because we've got an economic slowdown. It's been confirmed. And then you listen to this Trump. Okay. More damage is ahead. The U.S. manufacturing, well, it's came in at 47.8%, the lowest since June 2009. Any figure below 50% signals a contraction. Numbers absolutely abysmal. December 2009, well, we haven't seen manufacturing numbers so bad. Not since December 2009, but the economy is great. And Peter Bachvar, the chief investment officer at Bleakley Advisory Group, we have tariffed our way into a manufacturing recession in the US and globally. So those that have been waiting for a manufacturing recession to arrive can stop waiting. It's here, and it's going to be very painful. All over America, factories are starting to close down at an alarming pace. Bold face, outrageous lies. And Gregory Mannarino is absolutely right as far as I'm concerned. The lies are going to get even bolder, which is really going to very much cement us in this very dark, Kafkaesque society. It's going to get harder. It is definitely going to get harder. Trade war that's been going on for over a year and a half. The longer the trade war keeps going, the more damage it does. That's why President Trump, they haven't come to an agreement. Why? Because they are decimating our economy with this trade war. And it's not just the United States. I saw an article about Canada. Oh, Canada, you're having a hard time. Germany, wow, having a really hard time. Now Trump is calling for European tariffs. Now we have a trade war with European countries. I thought they were our best pals. Yeah, slowdown in global trade. Container shipping rates are down a whopping 34% since the beginning of 2019. Down 34%. What does that mean? Well, it means that not much trade is going on. Despite the industry now being in peak season. So, there is a good reason to fear this repo. Well, let's call it for what it is. It's another bailout. Another bailout. They changed the name because, well, the Federal Reserve just decided to do another bailout of the big banks, specifically Bank of America and JP Morgan. And, well, they said that they were going to do it until, I don't know what was it, October 12th or something? Oh no, it's going to go on. They've extended pumping money into the markets? No, into the big banks through November 4th. But what's the problem with this? Well, let's see. A market repurchase agreement, which is what they're calling it, or a repo, it's a critical weapon in a central bank's arsenal. Repo sales are used to stabilize markets and interest rates by providing essential liquidity. But I thought our economy was doing so beautifully. I guess it's not. We needed the Federal Reserve to take out that tool, the repo tool, which is generally reserved for emergencies. But the economy is doing beautifully. With the Federal Reserve diving into repo sales for the first time since, 2008. Wow. Okay. Last time was 2008. And just in the past 2 weeks, hundreds of billions of dollars went into banks. Okay, the trouble? The Fed's efforts to enhance liquidity during the past 2 weeks have been hampered by serious structural issues in the repo market itself. One key problem is Well, the money's going to a small number of massive financial institutions, such as Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, most going to J.P. Morgan Chase, because, well, the Fed has decided that those are the banks that will handle the actual transmission of liquidity into the financial system. But when those institutions fail to pass along that liquidity, i.e., they continue to hold the cash being essentially created by the repo, the Fed is left with little recourse. Really? We've heard this before. All the banks, 2008, 2009, and on and on and on ever since. But all those banks getting your money, leaving you with an economy, well, that we are now suffering, and putting that debt on generations to come. How nice. Those banks held on. They didn't transmit those funds into the economy. So this structural problem was never fixed. Oh, how convenient. Wall Street Journal reported September 26, Fed economists are very concerned about the increasingly concentrated repo market. Banks hoard reserves. It can drive borrowing costs higher for smaller firms. 5 largest banks hold more than 90% of the supply of total reserves. And a more even distribution would help cushion against such shocks. One challenge confronting Fed officials as they try to get funds flowing through the financial system following last week's surge in overnight interest rates, well, relying on that small group, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Citigroup, and Wells Fargo, and I can't think of the other names, but relying on a small group of bond dealers to recirculate that money through the financial system, well, increasing opportunities for channels to get clogged. They are giving as much money as they possibly can to really the CEOs of those banks. The scale of the structural problem in the repo market has become apparent during the past week. Oh, but it was apparent, well, 2009 for sure. Oh, right, Congress held hearings. Where'd the money go? Yeah, with that, then the head of the Federal Reserve, and that head said, we don't have to tell you. We don't have to tell you where the billions and billions and billions went. What banks? We don't have to tell you. So they never fixed this? Scale of the structural problem in the repo market has become apparent during the past week. Big banks have proven to have an insatiable hunger for repo cash, suggesting that a profound price dislocation is occurring under the surface of the market. So, we have so many people losing their jobs. By the way, Goldman cuts rates. Again? Third time. Fed sure to follow. So, yeah, our new rate is 1.90%. 1.90%. Okay. We're going negative, which means the banks, whatever you have in the bank, they will be taking their, well, what they decide is their share of your money. And anybody that has money in there, well, hope you get it out. You get your money out. Do you see the lies that you hear juxtaposed with the truth that it's only getting worse? Worse. A whole lot worse. Layoffs, bankruptcies, retail apocalypse, manufacturing and service sector down, wage growth stagnant. But what you hear is Americans are doing great. You want to believe that horseshit? You will have no care or compassion for how many millions are suffering the consequences of this great economy. All links are below.